7 News Good Morning Fort Sill.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us for your Thursday edition of Good Morning Fort Sill.
Yeah, good to have the full team together
I
today.
took a little day off yesterday, but
That's all right. You got to have one of those here and there.
Every once in a while, you know. But you know, this morning waking up, it was actually really warm. I felt like.
Yeah. Talk about waking up. I wonder if Michael even went to bed because he had to do the late show last night.
10 o'clock?
He's back in this morning.
Yeah, I am. I'm still have some energy there, but anyways, I will get to sleep later on today. Looking at your current PT forecast, it is 47 degrees, and yeah, you notice it is quite warm out there. We're only in the upper 40s to low to mid 50s out there generally, but here in Fort Sill, currently 47 degrees, and we have mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. You do notice there were a few areas of some patchy fog, but temperatures will generally get down to the mid 40s and then steadily rise into the upper 50s. We are anticipating a cold front that comes through later on this morning, and as it does, it will switch our winds to the north, and it will be very windy later on today. But as far as temperatures go, not really that much. You can see here on satellite radar some upper level clouds that we saw earlier yesterday evening will continue to push off towards the east. We've seen a little bit of cloud cover across the western portions of Texoma that will continue to filter in, and you notice there were a few wind advisories issued there. Comanche Nation Entertainment Tower Cam, mostly clear skies for now, but then as we look at the almanac yesterday, we had a high of 60 degrees, just slightly above average, was a low at the airport of 32 degrees. 42 was a low here at the station yesterday.
Well, President Trump is giving members of the military an early Christmas present.
That's right. During his national address last night, Trump announced that more than 1 million service members will get a check worth $1,776.
Yeah, dubbed the Warrior Dividend. The amount is a nod to the year our nation was founded, of course, 1776.
Obviously, yeah.
Trump credited tariffs for bringing in money to the nation, but he didn't directly say how the initiative would be funded.
1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody.
President Trump also touted record-breaking enlistment in the military and ending several global conflicts during his address last night.
Well, the Senate has passed the annual defense policy bill.
The National Defense Authorization Act now heads to President Trump's desk and is expected to be signed into law. The bill authorizes $900 billion in funding for military programs, including a 4% pay raise for service members.
Now, the NDAA also withholds a quarter of War Secretary Pete Hegseth's travel budget until the Pentagon releases unedited footage of military strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean to the Armed Services Committee. Now, Hegseth says that the full video at this point in time of that controversial September boat strike will not be released to the public. The U.S. military speaking of boat strikes, the U.S. military conducted another strike against suspected drug trafficking boats in the Eastern Pacific. The U.S. Southern Command shared this video of Wednesday's strike, which killed 4 people.
Now, this is the second strike conducted this week. Southern Command says the vessel was operated by a designated terrorist organization and was engaged in drug trafficking operations.
At least 99 people have been killed in strikes on suspected drug boats as part of Operation Southern Spear. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has rejected a pair of resolutions that challenge the Trump administration's military actions in the Caribbean Sea.
One resolution sought to direct the president to remove the armed forces from hostilities with presidentially designated terrorist organizations in the Western Hemisphere, while another would have directed the removal of U.S. armed forces from hostilities within or against Venezuela.
Both measures failed, with lawmakers voting mostly along party lines. The U.S. government is admitting failures by the pilots of an Army Black Hawk helicopter and an air traffic controller as the cause of that deadly mid-air collision in Washington, D.C. earlier this year. The
admission was revealed in court documents filed by the Department of Justice and U.S. District Court on Wednesday. January's crash over the Potomac River killed 67 people aboard both aircraft.
The filing will allow families of the victims to seek damages and comes as the NTSB continues an independent crash investigation. Meanwhile, the Senate passed the critical aviation safety legislation last night.
That's right. The Rotor Act tightens the rules for military aircraft, requiring them to transmit precise location information to avert future collisions. That legislation now heads to the House for a vote. Looking at our local military headlines, 2 cadets from Cameron University's Army ROTC program each received a commission as second lieutenants in the U.S. Army during a recent ceremony.
This is always exciting. Second Lieutenant Tristan Thompson of Medicine Park earned a Bachelor of Business Administration degree with a minor in military science. He's received a branch assignment to the infantry.
Second Lieutenant Nathan Weston of Lawton earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science with a minor in Military Science. His branch assignment will send him to the Signal Corps Detail Armor Branch.
Those photos bring me back definitely to when I did my pinning ceremony a long time ago, back in '02. Now, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Mick Werder, the chairman of the George D. Keithley Department of Military Science, praised Thompson and Weston's commissioning, saying, quote, Second Lieutenant Thompson and Second Lieutenant Weston are exemplary cadets were exemplary cadets during their tenure with the Comanche Battalion. It's rewarding to see that their efforts in military leadership have come to fruition, and we look forward to learning of their stellar career achievements as commissioned officers. At Altus Air Force Base, the 97th Air Mobility Wing's Judge Advocate team hosted a civil law symposium earlier this month to strengthen legal readiness by informing leaders on how to navigate issues that affect day-to-day operations across the installation.
The symposium delivered instruction for airmen on how civil law applies to everyday leadership decisions. Speakers walked attendees through common scenarios involving civilian workplace and supervisory challenges, oversight and investigative processes, along with the documentation required to keep actions legally sound.
Well, Fort Sill kids and their parents are invited to join the new parent support group and new parent support program playgroup. That fun starts at 9:30 a.m. every Thursday at the ACS Playgroup building at 2869 Craig Road. All kids 5 and under and grown-ups are welcome to attend. Registration is not required, but space is limited.
And just a reminder, if you've got kids interested in participating in CYS sports, the deadline to register is tomorrow to compete in basketball, volleyball, or cheerleading. Participants must have a valid sports physical in Parent Central. To register your athlete, you can visit the website on your screen or visit Parent Central at Building 4700 on Fort Sill.
War Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced sweeping changes to the Chaplain Corps. We'll have remarks from the Secretary, plus your news from around the forces when GMFS returns.
Every evening,
the Duncan Police Department has arrested a suspect.
7 News is working for you. Your first alert for what's next.
Here's the way things stand as of right now.
Uncovering breaking stories that impact Texoma.
A small school district in southeast Oklahoma is closer to closing its doors.
Checking facts and finding solutions. 7 News, working for you. Every night at 5 and 6. Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Michael Amanqua.
Well, good morning, everyone. We saw temperatures yesterday on the mild side, relatively speaking, just slightly above average. Made it up to 64 in Duncan, 60 in Wichita Falls, 60 as well in Lawton, 53 in Frederick, and 59 in Alta, 70 in Childress was the high yesterday. Looking at current temperatures right now, we're sitting generally in the 40s and 50s, 47 for Lawton, 54 in Duncan, 58 in Waurika, 54. In Wichita Falls, 41 in Altus, 47 in Elk City, 49 in Childress, and 56 in Paducah. Looking at your 24-hour temperature change, we're generally anywhere between 5 to about 14 or even 15 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. A lot of moisture has made its way throughout the area, and you can see relative humidity values, especially for most of Texoma, generally in the 90 to 100% range. We do have a dry line to our western county, so that's why we're seeing Relative humidity values generally in the 20 to 30% range at this time. Wind speeds are really starting to pick up, and they're starting to switch from the south to the north, especially in our northern counties. And these winds will be picking up anywhere between 10 to 20, even 25 miles per hour sustained. We could have gusts as high as 25 to even 35 later on during the morning and afternoon hours. And we've seen gusts already up to 31 miles per hour out of the southwest in Wichita Falls. Current conditions, we're seeing that cold front racing through the plains right now, and it will be here by the time we get into the morning hours. And notice the origins of this. This is mainly coming in from the Pacific Northwest, so this is not going to have a lot of cold air with it. And due to this downsloping motion coming from a higher plains, we will continue to have much milder air because of that.
Taking a look at news around the forces, War Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered sweeping changes to the U.S. military's chaplain corps, planning to simplify a system that he claims has been too focused on secular humanism.
In a post on X, Secretary Hegseth says the War Department will be ditching the current spiritual fitness guide in favor of a new program which would curtail what qualifies as a faith or belief recognized in the military.
In well over 100 pages, it mentions God one time. That's it. It mentions feelings 11 times. There's zero mention of virtue. The guide itself reports that around 82% of the military are religious. Yet, ironically, it alienates our warfighters of faith by pushing secular humanism. In short, it's unacceptable and unserious. Our chaplains are chaplains, not emotional support officers, and we're going to treat them as such.
In 2017, the War Department updated what qualifies as a recognized religious denomination or belief system with a list of 221 groups that ranged from the mainstream to obscure Christian sects, Wiccans, and atheists. The department will create a new list of religious affiliation codes. Well, soldiers deployed in Arctic environments are now utilizing specialized technology aimed at helping them survive in frigid climates.
Troops are now employing new methods to cook meals during sub-zero temperatures via the Expeditionary Field Feeding Equipment System, a mobile lightweight cooking platform meant to feed between 100 and 150 service members.
Now, EFIS does not require standardized military equipment to transport and is battery powered and self-sustained. The Combat Feeding Division has tested 10 prototypes over the past 3 years in several locations, including the yearly Arctic-led international expeditions. Well, 122 years ago this week, the skies above Kitty Hawk, North Carolina were forever changed when Orville and Wilbur Wright flew the U.S.'s first airplane.
Definitely groundbreaking. After that first flight, aeronautical activity just took off. Just a few years later, in 1909, the world's first military plane came into use. U.S.
military currently has between 13,000 to 14,000 aircraft in its fleet, the largest of any military force. Several aircraft hold numerous world records in speed and altitude.
The SR-71 Blackbird broke the speed record back in 1976 with a speed of nearly 2,200 miles per hour at an altitude of 85,000 feet. Then the X-15 aircraft, that holds the current absolute speed record of 4,500 miles per hour.
An officer from Fort Bragg is behind bars in Arizona accused of alleged child sex trafficking. Coming up, we'll have the latest national military news.
Every evening,
The Duncan Police Department has arrested a suspect.
7 News is working for you. Your first alert for what's next.
Here's the way things stand as of right now.
Uncovering breaking stories that impact Texoma.
A small school district in southeast Oklahoma is closer to closing its doors.
Checking facts and finding solutions. 7 News, working for you. Every night at 5 and 6.
An officer that's stationed at Fort Bragg is facing child sex trafficking charges in Arizona.
Samuel Noel Talavera appeared in Pima County Superior Court this week accused of sex trafficking, conspiracy to commit sexual conduct with a minor, and sexual exploitation.
According to the interim complaint, the crimes happened from July to August. 4 other people are also mentioned as accomplices in the crimes. Talavera is set to reappear in court this afternoon. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on Fort Hood has been conducting their annual prescribed burns on post.
The goal is to get ahead of any wildfires that might start on the installation. They are concentrating mostly around live fire ranges because that's where the biggest risk is.
So for our military installation, the majority of the wildfires start in the live fire area, and specifically the permanently dudded areas, the impact areas, just because of the nature of the training rounds.
Those areas may have unexploded ordnances on them, making it harder to fight those fires. That is why they are trying to safely burn at least 20,000 acres this year. Well, President Trump attended yesterday's dignified transfer for the 3 Americans killed in Syria over the weekend.
According to the War Department, 2 members of the Iowa National Guard and a civilian interpreter were killed in action by lone ISIS gunmen. War Secretary Pete Hegseth, as well as Iowa Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley, were also in attendance for the solemn event. President Trump has vowed to retaliate.
Well, that was a beautiful event for 3 great people, and they're now looking down, and their parents and wives and all of the people that were there were, devastated, but great people.
An initiative connecting military commanders and local leaders is ready for new nominees at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida.
Tyndall's Honorary Commander program aims to bridge the gap between the Air Force and the civilian community. Honorary commanders serve a 2-year term attending base activities like tours and ceremonies while learning about the daily life of a military commander.
Many leaders say that the experience has broadened their understanding of the military community.
It's been really eye-opening. Of course, we know that we have the base of the future in our community, and we know all of the growth that's happening here, but until you see it firsthand, you really don't understand it fully. So it's been such a great experience to see that firsthand and meet with the airmen and meet with Colonel Cortizio and just experience life out here on the base.
Well, President Trump has called for a total and complete blockade on all sanctioned oil tankers coming and leaving Venezuela.
That's right. Trump accused the Maduro regime of using stolen oil to, quote, finance themselves drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping. The order comes a week after the U.S. seized a sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, with Trump promising that strikes on land will come soon.
Well, turning to our good news, a Wisconsin cyclist pedaled for over 3,100 miles to support addiction, recovery, veterans, and the homeless.
Kelsey Schnitz has the story of the man's cross-country trek to support some of our nation's most vulnerable people.
From San Diego, California to St. Augustine, Florida, Perry Kuzner saw America at just 12 miles an hour. He climbed 8,000 feet in a single day, pedaled 100 miles without stopping, evacuated a flash flood, and outran 3 German shepherds.
Well, you know, we can look at that with kind of some humor right now, but at the time it was more of like a survival thing, because going on the road and all of a sudden 3 German shepherds are standing in front of me and I'm going fast enough where I can't stop and turn around, so I poured the coals to it.
But this wasn't just an adventure, it was a mission. Perry raised money for local nonprofits helping your neighbors battling addiction, veterans seeking support, and people facing homelessness this winter.
We were able to raise over $2,000 on Perry's little adventure. We're really helping people struggling with addiction, but also, kind of the people that are on the street, especially during this time in the winter. It's cold outside, so providing a place for them is very crucial.
In total, Perry raised more than $11,000. The journey took 2 months, 3,141 miles on a route called the Southern Tier.
There's days I rode 100 miles in a day. And a lot of days I'm climbing some big climbs. Like there's one day I climbed over 8,000 feet of elevation. So yeah, it's very mentally and physically taxing. When there's times where I thought, oh man, I don't know if I can do this anymore, you think, no, I'm riding for people. I'm riding for others that can't do this.
But Perry wasn't alone. His wife joined him, and thousands followed him online.
It became a narrative that started out with a few people reading it, and by the time we got done, we had 18,000 people that had read that blog.
Along the way, Perry met strangers who became supporters, people who saw the nonprofit logos on his bike and wanted to help.
Many times the individuals would let him know that they are a military family and that they would, like I said, like to contribute, even though we're miles away, thousands of miles away from where he was traveling. Again, it's just something that, with the veterans and veterans community, people come come together and support causes.
Donations came from across the country, but the impact stays right here at home. Hope Gospel Mission raised more than $2,000. The Veterans Tribute Foundation more than $1,000, and the Sunrise Exchange Club nearly $4,500. Money that will provide shelter, support, and hope.
He's just a great, genuine guy. He has a lot of energy, a lot of vision. He was able to do this, not only something on his bucket list, but do something to help others as well.
Perry thought he was done.
I remember when I got done, I thought, well, I think I'm done. That's probably the last time I'll do that. 2 days later, I was itching to get back on the bike and go riding some more.
But now he's already planning his next ride. Proof that when you pedal for a purpose, the journey never really ends.
Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Michael Amankwa.
So we're seeing gusty winds. Well, we will be expecting gusty winds as we go throughout much of the afternoon with gusts as high as 35 miles an hour. We calm down during the evening hours, and then winds will switch back to the south, and we can have those wind gusts anywhere between 25 to 35 miles per hour out of the south. Cold front comes in on your Saturday evening, and we can also have gusty winds then. And that could lead to an elevated fire danger, critical fire danger for our western counties today, elevated fire danger for your Friday and your Saturday. The front moves through the area as we go throughout much today with mostly sunny skies, and then as we go into much of your Friday, partly cloudy, becoming mostly sunny once again. And then as we head towards your weekend, we're expecting a warm front moving through by the time you get to your Friday evening to your Saturday morning, warming us up, and we could have near record high temperatures on your Saturday before that cold front moves in during the afternoon and evening hours. And then we will have partly cloudy skies for your Sunday, and there's an outside chance of maybe some shower activity in our far eastern counties as you get into your Sunday, but your Monday we dry out. A high of 61 today with those breezy winds out of the south, switching to the north anywhere between 10 to 25 miles an hour, down to a low of 30 degrees with clear skies. Tonight winds are a little bit more relaxed. Going into tomorrow, a little bit warmer, 64 degrees for high, this time gusty winds out of the south. And as we look at your 7-day forecast, we gradually warm up as we go into your Saturday, and then we cool off on your Sunday, warming up as we head towards Christmas Eve.
Thanks for watching Good Morning Fort Sill.